LG recently announced a massive jump in high refresh rate technology, hitting a blazing 1000 Hz refresh rate at 1080p. They were nice enough to invite me, along with some other Reddit community members, out to check out their new esports focused display, along with some of their other flagship offerings. And let me tell you, the future looks smooth AF. About a month ago, LG invited me out to the East Coast, but they were crazy secretive about it. All they told me was that it was a new high refresh rate monitor. That was it. I tried to snoop as much as I could, but I didn't really find anything. It wasn't until I was on the plane heading to New Jersey that they issued a press release for the LG UltraGear 25G590B. It's the world's first native 1080p 1000 Hz gaming monitor. This beast is a 24.5-inch 1080p display, and it's clearly focused at FPS esports professionals and, should your wallet allow it, your battle station. We weren't giving pricing info. They don't even have a release date for this yet. In fact, they told us that some of the design aspects weren't even finalized, but we were able to see this thing in action, and it was pretty wild. As I mentioned, everything about this is esports focused, from the resolution to the build dimensions to even the stand. At 24.5 inches wide, it's clearly focused at like top tier esports FPS players. Your Valorant, your CS2, your Overwatch, your Fortnite players. They really enjoy smaller displays. Yeah, you probably want a giant 65-inch TV when you're playing something immersive like Elden Ring or Cyberpunk. But if you pay attention to FPS players, you'll notice that when they're playing, they want the entire screen in front of them. They don't want to have to move their eyes around to see parts of the screen. When milliseconds matter, moving your eyes just up to the corner could mean life or death. In a world where 4K is becoming more and more common, 1080p might seem like a super low resolution, but if you ask any esports pro or semi-competitive gamer or any streamer, they'll almost always trade frames for resolution. The physical design of the monitor is really nice too. It's super minimalistic. These days we're starting to see companies kind of go back to that early 2000s techno matrix vibe, and sometimes it can be cool. But I'm personally a fan of the more minimalistic stuff that looks just as comfortable in a corporate office as it does at a gaming station. I find that a lot of companies feel like they need to differentiate their gaming line. Some companies do this okay. The ROG OLED monitors have a little bit of a gaming flair that isn't super terrible, but LG really, to me, is the king. They always seem to really focus on that minimalistic design, and they're one of the few companies, other than maybe Apple, whose monitor I'll put on my desk just purely for the look of it. We often see monitors with those big, wide, V-shaped, sprawling arms. In its place here, we see this little pentagon stand that I was super impressed with. I legit didn't even understand how it was holding the whole monitor up. This design is catering to those who play at a super low DPI and like to make those big sweeping arm movements on our desk. Low DPI and arm aiming alone doesn't really require you to have that much space, but the trend these days, if you watch somebody like Tens, you'll see them playing with their nose basically touching the monitor. And in that case, if you've got those big V-shaped arms, you're gonna hit your hand. Asus ROG's 540Hz esports display kind of gets around this by letting the big V shape sort of retract so that you have more space on your desk, but it, to me, looks really gross and I think adds to that whole matrixy aesthetic that I'm really not a fan of. I was lucky enough to spend some time playing Counter-Strike on this display, and we went from playing on a 144Hz display all the way up to this 1000 Hz display, and it's wild how smooth 1000 Hz is. I was shocked at how big of a difference there was between 540 Hz and 1000 Hz, especially in a game like Counter-Strike where you can really push the frames. Yeah, if you go from 360 Hz to 540 Hz, you might not be able to tell the difference, but when you're comparing the two side by side, it's crazy. I think people who claim that high refresh rate doesn't really make a difference, never really given high refresh rate a chance. Of course, the improvements are bigger at the lower end of the chart, so like say going from 60 Hz to 144 Hz, the difference is going to be night and day. Going from 144 Hz to 360 Hz, okay, that's not a night and day difference, but I do think that the difference is worth the price you pay. And when you directly compare 1000 hertz to 540 hertz, the smoothness was real. Playing Counter-Strike, I absolutely noticed a significant jump in performance when going between the different monitors. And yeah, I was only playing bots, but if I was in a competitive game, I think I'd do pretty good. The only thing I'm not looking forward to is the inevitable push to upgrade my GPU. My 5070 Ti has been serving me very well. I've been at 360 hertz for a while now, and it handles every game I play no problem. But I don't know if it's got the chops to handle a 1000 hertz refresh rate. LG had a machine with a 5090 pushing all the tests we saw, so if that's in my future, that scares the heck out of me. LG says they're looking to release this display in the second half of 2026, so there's still a lot of information we don't have. While I was at their HQ, their engineers were telling us that they're about 99% done with finalizing everything. So some things might change before we get an actual retail version. But generally speaking, this thing is going to be crazy. And I cannot wait to see the effect it has on top levels of professional play. I'm most excited to see Counter-Strike and Valorant players and some Fortnite players get their hands on this. That's about it. I'll have a bigger, more in-depth review when this thing releases and I can actually get my hands on one, and we'll go into the nitty-gritty things like dual mode versus native resolution and things like the AI tools LG is using for scene optimization and sound tuning. But let me know what you think in the comments. Do you think high refresh rates are silly? Do you still play at 720p at 60 hertz and you're cool with it? What about my Overwatch Switch 1 Plat players? What about my Fortnite Switch 1 Unreal players? Let me know in the comments below what you think, and I'll catch you in the next one.